Welcome to the Sports Wrap. George Ringer. Middle of June, almost. Well, it is past 16th.
It is.
I guess we made it past halfway. Happy Father's Day for all of you fathers out there. Day late and a dollar short. That should be the new name of our show.
No.
A day late and a dollar short. I mean,
you can always count on a good meal on Father's Day, and it's.
Yeah, what'd you get?
I wound up with a steak Florentine out at the Thunderbird, and when we were all done with all our stuff, being the kind of guy I am, I picked up the tab. It was about $350. It was a good one, but we had wine and really good stuff.
No
Bourbon?
Bourbon out there.
Just one. One.
I got whole chicken roasted on the grill, which was
pretty good.
Nita did a good job. The boys, the son-in-laws, one got steak and crab legs,
very good,
which I'm sure he ended up cooking, which he probably didn't mind at all. And the other one got lasagna and chocolate lasagna for dessert.
That sounds really interesting.
So, I think he was pretty happy too. So, yeah, thanks to everybody for making Father's Day pretty good.
That weekend, I said to another father, you know, this world's a much better place with fathers, and it's just you got to have them. You know, one of the statistics they did years ago would be on Mother's Day, they got more calls to mother than any other day. Next was Father's Day, except that they got more calls collect to dad. So dad's picking up. He's picking up the tab. He's picking up the tab.
That's the way it goes. Well, as long as you've talked about Father's Day, the Father's Day tradition, of course, is the U.S. Open.
It was
the golf tournament. Did you watch?
I did.
A bit of it.
You know, they had the greens were so fast. They make our blacktop driveway back there look slow. And I saw the first day I saw somebody hit the pole and knocked that thing back about 15 feet off the thing, and it kept right on going. It went about 50, 60 yards downhill, and there was nothing you could do to stop it. And so some of those greens, I mean, I did not know this, but they said that the ninth hole of this is the hardest hole in professional golf, and it's only a par 4, but it's incredible.
Well,
it's like golf.
Shane Lowry missed a putt from about 3 feet, and they could hear it on the whatever. He had a 3-word phrase, and it was "F this place." And he not only said it once, he said it twice to drive home. Oakmont is the nasty of the nasties.
Yeah.
It showed its head with one guy under par, and he had
under par,
and he had to hit a 64-foot 5-inch putt to slam it home to get the birdie to get under par.
I watched about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes on Sunday, and I saw the putt, and I mean, and the way even the putt went, it kind of went around in a deep circle for 64 feet.
It was a heck of a shot.
It was.
I mean, I was hoping for a playoff. I'll be honest with you. Don't get me wrong. Just seemed like more golf was fair.
Spawn, that's only his second tournament win. It's only his first big tournament.
Yeah.
And so you see this, and so what can you say? The man has achieved his dream, and I watched him win that, and I did appreciate that.
They talked about during the tournament at the end about that even like within the last 2 years he was going to walk away.
Yeah.
He didn't know if this was for him, and you could even tell when after he won and he's sitting there checking the scorecard and everything, and you can kind of tell he's like he had to have been replaying in his brain, what if I had walked away and this all didn't happen. But they talked about the mental part of the game and how hard it is, and what Oakmont and the U.S. Open usually does to you is pushes you to not get ticked off and want to walk.
No, you can't, and it's one of those things where when you're seeing the finest golfers in the world, +4, +5, and they're not even close. And it's just like that. And it was the course that was ripping apart. There was just, their long drives didn't mean much.
So my question is this, and you know, I maybe I'm whatever. We know that when you get to the U.S. Open, we know that the roughs are penal is the right word. They are penalizing to you. There's no doubt about that.
These were wood-like.
Okay, so obviously the fairways are narrowed a little bit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that tell the best golfers in the world that maybe instead of taking out that driver every time, maybe you're going to have to hit 3 wood, and then you would be better than getting into where Tyrell Hatton got in on the downslope of that one big mouth bunker or whatever they call it, and then you hit it to the other side like this. Maybe you need to not leave the big dog in the bag.
The way those greens are set up, you know, you better be really careful on your approach shots, and you know, and so they were just seeing. I saw a lot of people getting in trouble with their heavy woods, and they were just, you know.
Well, and then the other part is they're saying, well, it's so long that if you don't drive it out there, then you're hitting in with a 4-iron, and you're never going to stop it on the green. I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got nothing against Victor Hovland, but he hit more from the rough yesterday than, well, it looked like me, because that's where I would be.
You could barely see the ball.
I don't know. It almost seems like you gotta pull back a little.
I think that I'm hearing already that the PGA committee is looking at this, and they're getting so many complaints about the course, and it's just like, and it was, you know, I mean, it's a beautiful course.
I assume you read Jim Souhan's article this morning in the Minneapolis paper.
I didn't read that, no, but
well,
I saw
he basically said golf's got to do something because nobody wanted to watch the U.S. Open. It's the biggest tournament of the year, and at the end, nobody wanted to watch it because nobody could make a par, much less a birdie towards the end, especially with the weather. You know, and the wet. Every time you see rain, they're going to be shooting darts at the hole because the greens will hold. They will be so soft and whatever else. It seemed like they played worse after the rain than they did before. I don't know.
Well, I think the grasses, especially the greens, must take on a complete different texture then. Sure. And so, you know, but at first, when I first saw the 9-hole and I saw about 5 guys go through that, and then I thought, why don't you just watch this for a while and watch people go through the 9 and just see how much
misery?
Oh my Lord! Yeah, watch the misery. That's all it was. But and I think that the average golfer might say, you know, those are the best in the world, and they can get themselves in a world of hurt. So maybe they take empathy with the situation, but I don't think that they're going to go back there in a long time.
So I'll ask I don't know if you were watching, but did you see Sam Burns not get relief? Was that part of that you got to watch, or was that before you turned it on?
No, that was, no,
Anyway, they didn't give him relief. He thought that his ball was in casual water and he wanted relief, and then he got a second opinion, and the same opinion was the same. He didn't get what he wanted, and then he shanked it. He yanked her, and of course he blamed it on the ground, and I'm like, he sounded just like a hacker to me. Well, I'm gonna blame it on somebody else.
And that's kind of what it was, you know. I mean, if you lose your train of thought on this, a course like that, and the game, considering
he was in the lead at the time, tied for the lead at the time, and he let that get inside of his brain, and he'll never get past that.
And J.J. Spawn hit the 64 shot on the 18th hole.
Longest putt of the week that was made was that one, the last one. Had the reaction with him and his caddy holding onto the umbrella.
Yeah.
Circling around. Pretty good stuff. Uncle Paul said something along the lines of, well, that was worth watching, and I said, that's why we sit in front of a TV for 4 or 5 hours to see that reaction. Isn't that what it's all about?
I guess
the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. So let's talk about the NBA. Big game 5 tonight.
I'm watching it. Yeah.
In OKC, this is a 2-2 series. Last week when we were here a week ago, I said Oklahoma City would win it in 6. They would lose one game in Indiana and Indianapolis. So far, so good. I honestly believe the Thunder win it in 6. Still win it in 6.
I've had to change my tune a little bit. I was agreeing with you, but I'm wondering if coaching is going to make a difference in the next couple of games. And at that point in time, I'm wondering who has the better coach. And it's just like, and I'm watching this Indiana coach, this young guy run around. He really seems to have control of the guys. Now, the Thunder, they're footloose and fancy free, just even with their style of play. I mean, coaching them got to be a little bit like herding cats. But the teams run the same. They're both quick. They both can stay on the court. Halliburton's really, really a good basketball player. And if he pops loose,
well, I think that's the biggest thing in the games where OKC's been able to win. They've been able to hold them in check.
Yeah, and in order for the Thunder to pull this off, I think they have to get a better performance out of Chad Holmgren. And he's been averaging 15 points a game, and they got to get him in the upper 20s and 30s. He's the big stud. He's the one that they're going to have to go to. Between him and Alexander, it's one of those things where you guys, they have to perform, and up to this time, Alexander certainly has. He's averaging, 35, 36.
Something like that.
Yeah, but the kid's going to have to go to the paint, and if you would have asked me a year if he was capable of doing this, I'd have got a great big question mark. I've changed my mind on that one, too. He takes a couple of steps, and he is not only gone, but he's gone 15 feet past you. But he's gonna have to pick it up now. Back in Oklahoma, which is good. Oklahoma City. Can you imagine that in the NBA?
They've been the center of the sporting universe with the softball there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
they played 4 games, George.
Yeah.
And I may have watched a total of 3 quarters. Total out of the 12 quarters and the overtime, I probably watched 3 quarters total of games. I'm having a tough time getting into this, and I'll give you the reasons why. Okay, I know hockey's not on the same night, so there's no excuse there. But we've got women's softball that's been on. We've had the baseball, college baseball that's been on, and then this past week they had 4 nights of track and field on.
A very good track and field competition, by the way.
Okay, I'll say it this way. I can turn on SportsCenter and I'm going to get 22 minutes worth of NBA coverage. I'm going to turn on SportsCenter and I'm going to get 22 seconds of what happened at the track meet. So I just as soon watch the track meet.
And he's referring to the NCAA track meet, and Minnesota, by the way, is performing fairly well.
Yeah, they did. The men were right there at the top. Of course, they got first and second in the hammer throw.
That was the big one.
First day, so that was 18 points right there. Sad to see their 4x100 team, the kid pull a hammy coming down the stretch. They probably would have had a second place, maybe third. It was tight between them and USC for that second spot. But it sure was exciting. They had me up on the edge of my seat screaming at the TV.
You're running step for step with USC, with LSU, with some of these other legendary track teams. And it's just you don't think that Minnesota is going to do that, and they do, and they've been doing it for a couple of years now.
Set the school record and won the Big Ten championship in the 4x100, and would have been fun to see them pull it off. Obviously, they weren't going to win a national championship, but it sure made it exciting that they had a couple of opportunities. And like I said, I watched 4 nights of that track meet. I probably watched, I don't think any less than 10 hours of the track and field on those 4 nights. I enjoy a great track and field meet. I wish they would show more of the field events. I understand that's, you could watch it on your computer or whatever. You can get those, and I understand the track is the big part of it. But Brock Lesnar's daughter won the shot put. She threw it 60 feet, I think a half inch is what it was. But of course, you get the javelin and the hammer throws and the long jumps, triple jumps, and all that other stuff. The men's winner went 7'5.5"
You give a woman like that a hug, you're going to get one back.
Yeah.
She is really pieced together and looks determined. And she's a very fine athlete.
She's got good genes there.
Good genes.
High jump guy went 7'5.5", I think, was the winner. Holy crap! So I told Eli while we were watching, I said, it is your job, young man, to get me to Oregon for the NCAA track championship one time. I said, that should be one of your goals before I die, whether you got to get me there in a wheelchair or whatever.
Well, that's okay, because we can still get a standard invite from my friend Randy, because he would not miss that tournament for nothing. That's where they hold their high school tournament there as well.
Would love to go out there and watch them. We got to get back to the NBA before we get away from it. Your prediction. We got 3 games to go. Best of 3. OKC's got 2 of them at home. Who are you picking?
It's going to be 3. It's going to be 3-2 at the end of tonight, and Oklahoma's going to have it. I think the next game might be 3-3.
All right. So we're going back to OKC on Sunday or Saturday. Sunday.
Yeah.
And.
Who
you picking?
I'm going to still go with OKC.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
the factor that I bring up, and this was brought up to me, was the variable of the coaches. And you don't think about coaches, but these are all
Substitution decisions, matchups, who's guarding whom.
court, game time coaching. And that's a whole lot different in X's and O's. And it's just like, geez, they must have liked that one, huh?
So OKC is the winner. We both agree on that.
Yes, that's no doubt about
NHL, Florida goes up 3-2 in Edmonton the other night.
that. Well, they did, and they hit them up pretty good actually. And it's what was it, 5-2 or 4-2?
Well, it ended up that they got it right towards the end with the empty netter.
Edmonton's got a good team, and my grandson has got tears in his eyes for McDavid, and that this is his hero. This is the best man in hockey, and I says, well, Kachuk might have something to say about that. He got a little bit angry with me, but I don't think Edmonton can beat them.
Not in Florida, not for Game 6.
No.
The move by Brad Marchand the other night to score that goal where he jumped through and through the wickets. One of those goals for a 36-year-old that probably will be played for a long time. I think that was the goal that put the end to Edmonton. I obviously still want Edmonton to win, but I think going into Florida, in this case, I don't think they go back to Edmonton. But if it does go back to Edmonton, the Oilers win.
Well, I asked my grandson, who are you pulling for? He says, Edmonton. I'm pulling for Canada. At least they have ice. They have no ice in Florida. So this is that's what peewees think about the hockey game. So anyway, I'll be watching the next one. That's for sure. It's going to be a Liprapa.
Let's go back to basketball. Give me a chance that Kevin Durant ends up as a Timberwolf.
0.
None.
No, I heard the Spurs come out, and I don't know, a couple of other. I think he'd like to go down to the Spurs, and he could be a good superstar down there. I don't think he's coming to the Wolves. Now, I've had to reevaluate what he would look like on that Wolves basketball team, and he'd look pretty good. There's no two ways.
He looked pretty good.
37, 38.
The rumor is, obviously, other teams might be able to offer him more money, but Phoenix is holding the cards here. Necessarily Kevin Durant. I don't think Kevin has a no trade clause to a certain team. I think he can make his wants.
Yeah,
but it sounds like the Timberwolves are making the hardest pitch, the best pitch to the Suns. So now do they keep Kevin Durant happy, or do they worry about what the Timberwolves? And of course, part of that is that Rudy Gobert would be going to the land of the sun if Kevin Durant came north. Rudy would be going that way, probably along with, I would guess, a couple other players and a couple of draft
my
picks.
friend Mr. Randall, they'd be gone, and he might be gone anyway. He's on a one-year thing anyway.
I think Julius Randle's gone.
And how about my friend Naz?
Would be interesting. Would be interesting. I think the fans would feel worse if Naz left than if any of those.
Any of them.
Interesting. The Lynx lost last Wednesday out in Seattle to end their perfect season, but they came back and whooped on the Sparks on Saturday or Sunday, whichever day it was.
Yeah, they're playing Las Vegas tomorrow night, and I watched the tail end of the Seattle game. I had it recorded, and because it's late out there,
late.
and you take a look at this team and the Thies Collier. And I'm saying this just holding my breath a little bit because we've had some other ones, but she's the best woman that's ever wore a Lynx uniform. She is just, and that includes Mia, and I mean, I don't say that lightly because those women.
If he's trying to get Maya Moore to come out of retirement,
it would, but she was drafted in 2004. Well, a lot of water has fallen over the wall since then. But Collier, she's so offensively orientated. She can score points, a whole bunch. She is long.
She's long. She's got long arms.
Yeah, the Thies Collier, she is so much fun to watch. She plays tonight. I think it's at 7:30. Watch her because she is tomorrow night, I should say. But she is really a good time to watch. Now I like her a lot.
New York also lost over the weekend to the Fever with Caitlin Clark back, so no more undefeateds in the WNBA.
No, that's probably right.
So, we'll see what happens here. They'll get to play in a couple weeks when they play in the Commissioner's Cup, and we'll see how nasty that first meeting is after what happened last year, the cheating. Yeah.
Okay, we won't. Yeah, we don't have to.
Well, you wore your Twins shirt.
I was
for a reason, I suspect.
I'm inspiration because you might not believe this, but they went 13 straight a couple of weeks ago.
True.
And right now, if you can get them to split a series, you're really hoping. And it's they give up 16 runs twice last week, and it's just like, and you take a look at that and you say, okay, you're not producing any runs, your pitching staff's getting slapped all over the place, and they're starting to put the kink on a bullpen that might be getting worn out, and that's just it
could be getting worn out.
Yeah.
Could be just sometimes that's the way baseball goes.
It does.
Type of thing. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're still above 500.
Yeah.
We're still in second place.
36 and 35. We're 9 games behind Detroit.
I don't think anybody's going to catch Detroit right now. They're playing too good baseball.
They really are a good baseball team, and so I agree. I just they're giving me this split personality lighthouse here. They're playing pretty well, and they lost Pablo Lopez, and I think that started putting the kink in their and it's not, what I mean. Watching them, they lost 2-1 yesterday. Watching them play, they're fun to watch. They've got enough people, but they're losing these 2-1 games.
Yeah, tough losing on 2 walk-offs to Houston. Big concern about the 16 runs twice to Texas, but then they beat Texas in the middle game.
And then they beat the Texas in the middle game
and beat them like 10-3. So you're kind of the team's a little Jekyll Hyde right now, but that kind of stuff's going to happen. Gotta stay the course. Of course, Royce Lewis pulls a hammy the other day, going on the 10-day IL. We know that what that means is that's baloney. It's going to be probably 30 days with the hammy because we know how hammies don't heal, and this was the problem earlier in the year. So apparently he's re-aggravated. Anyway, it's okay.
It's okay. It's baseball.
I mean, okay, Detroit's got 46 wins. They are 9 games ahead of us, no doubt about that. But the Yankees leading the East with 42. That's 4 less than the Tigers have right now. And Houston just swept the Twins to get to 41 games, and they're leading the West.
Well, speaking of New York, they got swept by Boston.
What happened this weekend? They played again, right? Did they get swept again?
They got swept, 3 games in Boston, and then Boston got rid of Rafael Devers.
That had to happen.
Are you sure?
It had to happen.
This sounds like he bets to me.
He was upset because when they traded for him, he was going to play third base, right? And
Yeah,
that's where he
he
was.
didn't want to play first.
Well, he didn't want to play first. Well, then they were going to put him at first base because that was what fit best. But he's a diva, so he wanted to get his ways. So in order to try to appease him, they put him at DH. Well, he's probably a pretty good DH, but I want to play in the field. Well, there's nothing going to make him happy because he wasn't going to get to play third base. So ship him off, get what you can for him, and move on.
And the Giants needed the help. I'm not sure they needed a utility man. First, third, could he catch? Anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. If the Giants aren't going to play him at third base, he ain't going to try to do anything for them either. So, I'm not a Devers fan. A guy's got to do what the team needs him to do. Not what's best for Rafael Devers. We got to do what's best for the Boston Red Sox. And apparently, the best thing for the Boston Red Sox was to ship him to San Francisco. That's about as far away from Boston as
Well, we
you can
got this
get.
guy Shohei Ohtani. Guess what he's doing tonight?
Well, I was on my vacation last week, my tournament trip that I enjoyed very much. We'll talk more about that later. And they were talking about this on one of the morning sport talk shows, which I don't like to watch, but there was nothing else on TV while I was getting ready, and so I had it on, and they were talking about the fact that they figure he's going to get to pitch one time per week, and so they were like, does that mean he's going to get 10 starts this year? And is 10 starts too many? And how much are they going to throw him? And should
He's going to pitch. He's going to pitch 1 inning tonight.
only one?
1 inning.
That's what they've said.
That's what they've said.
Well, then why are they having him start? Why don't they have him come in relief?
I'm not quite sure why they're doing that. Maybe they like the idea. I tell you why they're starting. Because they can put up on a billboard and say Ohtani is pitching tonight, and he's going to pack the stands. And so he'll come
This
in.
is about money again, George?
He's a very expensive Ohtani.
They're all expensive.
They're all expensive. But I watched him practice the other day, and he was snapping some stuff, and apparently there was no pain or anything afterwards. He had Tommy John surgery and had to get all that stuff, and it's been 2 years since he's pitched.
He's also got 26 home runs. I think I saw.
Yeah, you see,
He's on pace to go for 50 pretty easy. The question is, does it get to 60? And does the pitching cause him to stop hitting as well?
I don't
think so?
I don't think you can pitch and hit the same.
Too much.
Too much, and when you're hitting, he can concentrate on the hitting. He doesn't have to worry about that pitching. When he's pitching, he better be concentrating on the pitching, or there's going to be people that'll ding that thing. And so I think you have to departmentalize there. And
like I said, I'll be curious.
I will too.
To see how things pan out.
There was nothing I'd like better for him to come in and do a 5-inning shutout and hit 2 home runs. I mean, then you'd have to say, yeah, he's amongst the greatest, if not the.
Twins do go to Cincinnati for 3, and then come home to play the Brewers.
Yeah, well, Cincinnati, they're not that hot. I can't remember what the record is, but I think Cincinnati and a lot of other teams are a little bit indicative of they're not getting very good fan coming out, and it was brought up with the new governmental budget. Professional baseball is going to lose a lot of their tax credits for their players, and so it's going to cost them that much more in taxes and all the rest of that, and I think that baseball's panicking a little bit. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if next year there was a lockout at the beginning of the season, just for them to figure out what
They
they're
got
going
plenty
to.
of time to get this figured out, George. They don't need to lock people, but anyway,
No.
there is plenty of money out there to go round. So that's my opinion.
I'm just saying is that
We don't have to
they're
be
not
so
going to
greedy.
have the profits that they have if they have to pay the taxes on and I mean it isn't just the big spenders, the big ones either. It's everybody. What's the minimum wage in baseball?
I know it's 7 figures and probably got a 2 in the front.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
It's
So we've been talking about baseball, and we got to talk about the College World Series a tad
you might the Candeliers.
bit. Coastal Carolina. But the news right now is this: Arkansas is playing Murray State in an elimination game.
Yeah.
Gage Wood, the Arkansas pitcher, has 16 Ks through 8 innings and has the no-no.
He's getting 2 an inning.
Got the no-no going. He had the perfect game going through 6. He has 3 outs from the first no-hitter in Omaha in 65 years. No pressure, by the way, young man. So Gage Wood, good luck to you there.
Really?
On that. It was perfect actually through 7 innings. So he lost the perfect game in the 8th inning, and so he's on his way. So we'll see what happens there. Playing Murray State, the Cinderella. Everybody wanted to see Murray State maybe make a run, but as they say, Cinderella slipper maybe finally came crashing down. And but I have enjoyed watching the baseball, the College World Series, the Super Regionals last weekend into this week. It's been fun. A lot of parity. They've been talking about how the new baseball and the new money. Baseball is going to be going from 11.7 scholarships to 34 scholarships per team. And that how this is going to spread the talent even wider, because people are going to have more money to give.
Well, who ever heard of Coastal Carolina knocking off Oregon 8-2, and it's just
They talked about how Coastal Carolina, rather than maybe making the investment in football or basketball to become a household name, they decided to go the baseball road. They invested money in their baseball program, and look how it's paying off with the fact that they could be playing for a national championship in a week, or in a week they could be the national champions, as they were, 9 years ago, was it? 18, 16, whenever it was. That's how they're getting kids to come to Coastal Carolina, is because of the baseball program, not just to play baseball, but because they're a household name.
Well, that could be, but I'll tell you, their football program hasn't been that bad, and they win a basketball game from time to time. So
That's how you say. So
yeah,
where it all gets its start.
and they're named after a rooster. So it's.
So they got that going for them.
They got that going for them, yeah.
Look, like I said, Arkansas beat LSU the other night, those 2 SEC teams. But they were talking last year, the College World Series had 4 teams from the SEC, 4 teams from the ACC. This year, just 2 from the SEC and 1 from all these other conferences. And then, of course, Murray State, like I said, the Cinderella. So I love it.
Oh, I do too.
I love it. So, wish there were more eyeballs so you could watch more of what's going on.
Go Chanticleers, that's all.
There you go. Yeah. Go Coastal Carolina. They'll be probably the team I'll be pulling for here out. Like I said, was hoping Murray State could do it, but looks like they're going to get eliminated. What else you got? I got 2 other things.
That might be it. You talked to me. You took the tournament.
Yeah. So state track meet last week. 3 classes, 3 days. Wish I could have watched 6 sessions, but you got to make a decision in your life. Our girls 4x200 relay team goes down, seated 21st, takes 21st. Ran almost the identical time that they did in the sections. So congratulations to the ladies on a great year. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, got to go watch the state baseball tournament. Went and watched Southridge play along with Duluth Marshall, and I watched about 3.5 games on.
That was in St. Cloud.
That was in St. Cloud. Thursday, wasn't going to stay overnight. Wednesday night, wife said you might as well just stay. Dang, Nina, you're breaking my heart. You don't want me to come home. You want me to stay and watch baseball. Well, then the rains came, and I didn't get to watch as much baseball on Thursday as I wanted to, but Southridge ended up losing in the semis. They had to cancel the 3rd place games, the 5th place games because of the rain. But a rarity happened. Think about this. You're playing in a state semifinal game. The rain starts coming about the 2nd inning, and the rain just gets progressively harder and harder and harder. You end up getting to the end of 8 innings. That's 1 extra inning in high school baseball. And it's still tied, and they decide we're shutting her down. and they jumped in their cars and their buses and they drove 69 miles west and north to Alexandria to finish the game.
Oh,
And it took one inning for it to end before Parker Sprayer, the number 1 seed, lost to Red Lake County, who ended up as the number 5 seed. I think 5 seed came through, and then they won the state championship. So it was classic. Red Lake County wins the A. Pine Island, who played very, very well in the game that I watched, and St. Cloud won 2A. Matamidi and Cretin-Durham Hall won its 12th state baseball championship.
you know, they have a bit of a legacy at that school, you know.
First time in like 14 years since they've won it, though,
Well,
which
it
surprised me.
I'll bet you Maurer was hanging around just to check it out.
Sure, he possibly was. He possibly was at Target Field
Yeah.
on that day. 4 championship games all played at Target Field. Wish I could have been there again, but you can't be everywhere.
There's only one of you.
I need multiples of it. Final thought. 15 years ago today, we lost Mr. Roger Jerome, and
I got to tell you one story about Roger. You know, every time he got a chance, he would call together a group of guys, and we'd have pickup basketball. And we always liked to go to Bacchus because of the easy on our legs, nice court. It was always
a little shorter.
Yeah, about 10 o'clock on Easter morning, Easter Sunday, I get a call and he says, we're getting together for basketball. And I had no idea when I got there. Ordinarily there's 10, 12, everybody gets to play. There was about 35 guys. The place was packed. I looked around, I looked at him and I says, it's Easter Sunday, why aren't you guys at church? And one of them looked up to me and says, for most of us, this is church. And I just, and this was the types of thing that Roger would put together, you know, and I can't ever say that he was an outstanding basketball player, but I will say that once in a while he could get hot. And if you're guarding him, when all of a sudden he decides to get hot, he can make you look like a fool, you know. And it's just like, but I always appreciated Roger and calling me up for pickup basketball. They were, you know, we go in and play for a couple hours, just have a ball, and then go home and take a nap, you know. But no, Roger was a fine man and a good friend. I miss him.
Yep, absolutely. It's hard to believe.
Yeah,
It's been 15.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anything else?
that should do it for me. Try it again next week.
We'll talk to you then. Thanks, everybody.